Hi, hello everybody and welcome. This is Siobhán, the Celtic Empath, aka Morgana Speaks, and I am finally getting around to posting my next vlog video update, which is post the August 8th 2019 Lionsgate portal plus August energies. I kind of did one video in relation to predicting-ish kind of what August was maybe going to feel like, and now we're into September. And the reason I'm kind of doing it at this stage is because there's a number of astrological elements involved in this as to why I'm kind of getting around to doing it now, because we're coming to September the 14th. So we're coming to the end of certain timelines. Portals are closing, timelines are sort of being chosen and being integrated. So we've been in this period of 2019 has been a really big important year for transformation and for change, inner change for a lot of people. We may not be really seeing yet the reflection externally. We're sensing it, a lot of people are sensing it. We're seeing signs in our daily lives that things have moved on and progressed and changed. But in saying that, it's not been easy. It's not been easy for the majority of us. And I have to say, in particular this August, I myself was going through a lot of what's termed as the ascension flu symptoms, and I really haven't, not that I have particularly felt or noticed, and probably to my own detriment, because I kind of thought I was getting away with all this ascension flu symptoms for a long time. I kind of thought, oh, I'm actually dealing with the ascension whole portals opening and closing, energies coming in and things realigning, and I thought I was kind of getting away with it there for a while. But it turns out in August, I think it all actually caught up with me. It's very possible that I, of course, was tuning into and sensing into a vibe of energies and energetics that would be in the air, because I am very sensitive and connected to energy. So for me, I do tend to pick up on what's going on in the atmosphere. I don't need to be in a crowd of people. In fact, a crowd of people is the place where I don't need to be at all. If you're empathetic, sensitive, somebody who's on a higher vibe, connected and tuned, easily can connect and tune into frequencies, then also I am not alone in this. So for me, walking outside into the fresh air in my front door, I start to tune in and kind of pick up on what the general vibes are in the atmosphere. And it's good for me because sometimes if I go out publicly and I go to certain places, towns, or certain shops or locations, I can pick up on kind of the general atmosphere at times and places, and I can have a feeling as I'm going towards some place that I know, okay, this actually doesn't feel very good now, because you're sensing. So this is all part of instinct. This is all part of, you could call, psychic stuff. This is all different elements of what is happening with our spiritual gifts that are being activated, being opened up, and people are being realigned now, and deep inner transformation. So this is all part of what has been happening in August, more so for more people who are mass awakening. So this is a whole new stage that we're coming to an end of for the last few months of 2019, and it's kind of really exciting. It's really good, and it's going to be really bad too for some people, be really good for others, depending on how you've been living your life this past year, what choices you've been making. Have you been living in integrity? Have you been living in alignment? Have you been making decisions that are more purposeful? Or have you just continued on living old ways, even though you might have an inclination or a spark, or find yourself in situations that, you know, God, I could have done better. Actually, I didn't mean to make such a petty, mean remark to that person. Or you find yourself being drawn into, being part of Or maybe you're the one creating chaos. You don't see yourself as being that person, but maybe you are. If you are, you're probably not watching this vlog anyway. But if you are somebody who's causing drama, then you should stay listening to this video, because this is for you too. So this year is very important. Coming to the end of this year, should I say, is coming to September the 14th is actually the kind of crisis point, or like a seesaw, where it's coming into balance now on the point of what are you going to choose, which direction you're going to go in. Have you been making those integrity choices to express in your relationships and with other people value in your relationships, in how you are perhaps treating your co-workers, for example, would be a very big part of our lives. So what experiences and dramatic situations have you found yourself in? So bear in mind, this has all been happening since the moons, the new moons and the full moon that we had in Pisces back in March. So coming out of March and April, people will have found that they were in some kind of a situation. Something arose maybe quite suddenly in your life out of the blue, that depending on which choice, which road you decided to go down, you could have been pulled completely into chaos, drama, control and power situations, which is 3D, old paradigm, nothing to do with where you could be going into 5D. But also, are you the person who decided, actually, I'm going to walk away, I'm going to go the other way. I see what's going on, I'm here in the middle, I could actually be part of all of that? Or you actually did find yourself in a situation where you were able to step away, or the choice was there to walk away from a potentially explosive, dramatic piece of nonsense, basically. And situations like that arose in our lives, in a lot of our lives, for people who are awakening and becoming more awakened. If you're already awakened, it doesn't matter even how awakened you think you are. These situations happen, particularly more so if you are even more awakened, because it's again part of the propulsion that's happening this year with the portals, with all the eclipse energy. We've had so much strong eclipses, we've had so many planets retrograding, which brings us along swiftly to the portal of August the 8th. So what is a portal? To kind of just to try to define it a little bit, a portal is something that comes from one place in time, through time, or an origin or an area, one you may or may not be aware of, and can go through time, travel through the ether, travel through air, and has an exit point where information comes out. So it's carried through. And portals are created by the portals that I like, the good portals, because you have good and bad. The good portal is the Lionsgate portal, and this year it had a particularly strong alignment with the planet Sirius. Now, if my history is right in relation to Egypt, where the original history of portals goes back along, Sirius is connected to the Lionsgate anyway. It's all part of the history, in particular to the Lionsgate portal. But this year in particular, now I'm not somebody who has studied astrology, but what I do know is that the planet Sirius, which is called the dog star planet, or also called it's the something sun planet, I should know the name, oh gosh, I can't think of it now, but it's a big all-important planet, and a lot of starseeds and light workers have connections to the planet Sirius and are connected to it. I myself am not. I am not actually connected to Sirius. I'm connected to different planets, that's for another day. So the alignment of Sirius was in a particular astrological alignment this year, the dog star planet, into the opening of and the position of the Lionsgate portal. So the World Wide Web is a very interesting place because, you know, we are what we create, you know, like it's all part of us, it's all reflected around us. Like, where does anything that we create, that we make in this, what we perceive as the real world, where does any of that creation form come from anyway? So portals, I'm talking about them as these extra dimensional things. In real life, on the World Wide Web, anybody who's done computer science, there are such things, portals on the World Wide Web, and portals carry information on the World Wide Web, and they are these sources where information comes from, and it goes from one place and ends up on your computer screen, no matter where you are in the world. So that's a portal carrying information. So the Lionsgate portal is an important portal that opens up and it transports important interdimensional information and light codes, basically, that is being brought to us here on Earth. And this year in particular, it was stronger with the alignment to Sirius, with an extra special alignment to Sirius. And I'm not an astrologer, I haven't studied astrology, but this is part of the background. So it's easy to go and research the technical part if you want, if you really need to know the nuts and bolts of it. But this year in particular, because of what started back in the full moon in Pisces, it has taken that length of time to now for a lot of people to process and to recapitulate. We've had so many planets in retrograde. We've just coming out of Mercury retrograde, so there's been an awful lot of backtracking this year for a good section of 2019, going backwards, rethinking, re-strategizing, re-looking, going internally on a lot of different aspects of our psyche, our spiritual life, our emotions, our psychology, which is going to affect all areas of the different planets, depending on what your star sign is and where the position and alignment of each planet is in whichever house. So if you're into astrology, you will know that it's going to affect each star sign slightly different, the position of the retrograding planets. But now we're beginning to get a lot more movement. So a lot more movement started happening, and we had the Lionsgate. So the Lionsgate brought through a lot of energy that is really helping to push through this further recommitment and recapitulating with internally that's been going on for a lot of people. So depending on which choice you made coming out of March, April, even though you might have made a decision back then, you thought, Jeannie, it might not have been too difficult for you to maybe walk away from whatever the situation was, even though it was hard, because I can also think of myself, and in April something did surface for myself in that I would never have thought, but it was something from the past that all of a sudden came up in the future, or in the present, in 2019, and it was to do with people that I no longer worked with. So it was a situation that I would never have considered happening, and it did. And I know I'm not the only person that has experienced this. There's a lot of this has been the theme since March. So March, April, so the decision to walk away from something, to walk away in your own truth and integrity, you may not have really known it at that time, but you've no idea just how important that step was for your future. Because now we're coming into Jupiter and Saturn, which were retrograding and are moving forward just like Mercury, and coming from all this extra energy and light codes that have been brought through from the Lionsgate. August was a month to start pushing forward in certain ways. So pushing forward in your development, and I'm talking about more so spiritual development, because again there was still more internal processing, and July and August were months that were spent going back over all the information, going back over the decision, going back over the past, and then going back over the relationships and the people that are involved. So maybe now those people who you may have thought or hoped would still have been part of your life, you've walked away from. Who have you walked away from in your life this year? What relationships and people, whether it's family, friends, co-workers, have you walked away from this year that you've actually actively chosen to go, oh my God, I can't have anything to do with this person and these situations anymore? Because you can't control them. You cannot control certain situations. And there is the surrendering and letting go. But this is pivotal to what's happening now with timelines that are emerging. You're being prepared. We're all being prepared in these previous few months, and we're being kind of tested to see, are you really ready to move into the next stage, the next phase, which is coming after September the 14th. So the last 3 months, because in previous videos I have talked about kind of how important it is that we've been going through these stages, monthly stages for 2019, how the first 6 months, the tone, the vibe and what was going on is different to the last 6 months. And we're now into the very last stage. After September we'll have the last. So we're crossing over. There is great movement of energy moving forward now into September. Feeling a lot more confident with decisions and choices made, because at this stage they're made, they're done. You're either on a certain timeline, and it's kind of one or the other at the moment, and it is at this crisis kind of balance point actually, where you are no longer just sitting in the middle, where you are going with one or the other. So have you chosen to go back? Did you choose to go back? Did you go back to the chaos, to the trauma? Did you go back to somebody from your past that you really know inside is not good for you, and you've chosen to go back to continue with chaos and nonsense? Or did you walk away? And it's been surprisingly, that simplicity of that choice has happened for a lot of people this year. So where are you at now? Because what I want to say, coming on from August for some reason was a heavy month energetically, and partly I don't know if it was just personally my own ascension flu stuff that was going on, but there was a lot of heavy emotions in August. And though I did a lot of clearing work in August, I had to do it was a lot of clearing work that I haven't done, and maybe it's because I haven't done it in a long time, but I spent the entire parts of coming to the end of July and then coming for the full month of August doing clearing, which is clearing out negativity of all types, levels and dimensions and stuff, but that's for another conversation. So I guess you might have had to go deep, go heavy, really go into negative emotions that were still coming up, that were being brought up by this decision and choice that you were faced with, which was either going back and entertaining the past, which wasn't probably not particularly good, or can you walk away with a clean slate and just go, do you know what, that's actually not mine, nothing to do with me, didn't cause that, don't want to be a part of it, and adios, off you go. I know for me it was that clear cut. Yes, I spent the recapitulation, the re-going over, the examining of the relationships, examining myself, and subconsciously a lot of stuff came up for clearing, and that manifested in a number of different ways. And those ways, I guess, for myself, And this isn't for everybody, because not everybody is experiencing this or open to this, but we do actually all have subconscious programming that we come here with. You could call that karma, programming of karma, or it's different levels of programming that happens to us depending on what it is that we're coming here for, why we're coming to this particular planet for this experience. So clearing away a lot of spiritual debris, attachments, entities, extraterrestrial negative stuff, and all the heavy emotions that goes with that, with those vibrations, with those imprints. There was also a lot of geopathic stress in the land. There's negative ley lines going under my house that was carrying negative energy. So there was a lot of heavy clearing work going on in August, hence why I was definitely not feeling energetic, hence why I got nothing done on Instagram, nothing done. I took a complete sabbatical from the internet for August. I got one Lionsgate post up on Instagram, that was it. Completely switched off, but now I'm starting to integrate and come back a bit more. The clearing is done. Now I can feel the pickup happening for September. So I'm ready now to harness the energies of the Lionsgate portal. And so are you. And coming up to September the 14th, this is probably the most important end part of my message. And I am also going to pick a card today from one of my many decks that I have. So the timelines have become so important, and they're developing, and this is like a minefield, this whole timeline thing. It's fascinating to me. But we are kind of setting and choosing timelines now, coming to the end of 2019, because 2020 is going to be a different year. It's going to be, because we've done so much subconscious clearing of negativity, negative emotions. So guilt, shame, fear. Fear is a great underlying one for a lot of things. Rejection, another one. So there's a lot of subconscious stuff is being worked at, and we're working at it through whatever was set off in March by the full moon in Pisces. So have you gone with it? Did you go with the flow? Did you process? Did you go internally? Because September the 14th, the portal is closed. There's portals and timelines that are being closed, I guess is what you would say. They're being sealed off. That would have been opened and opening since March. Timelines are setting for this moment in time, for this moment in history. And September the 14th / the 15th, depending on where you're living, is going to be the date where the timeline is sealed. So it's really important for people to, you can still make that decision, to make a good decision, which is to walk away or to walk out or get out of the past. If your past came back and it was bad, something bad from your past came back, a bad relationship, bad situation, you do have the power now to make a choice, to make a decision. And sometimes we forget the power that is in making a choice or making a clear decision. I think sometimes we just don't realize sometimes the simplicity of just making a decision, not even having to take action, but making a clear decision and knowing that this is the right decision for you. You're not being influenced by someone else. You're not being told by anyone else what to do. This is only about you and what feels completely right for you. You may have no idea what the outcome is going to be, or where this decision is going to go, or how you might feel or think, how can I realistically make this happen? It actually doesn't matter, because this is completely nothing to do with you at the moment. This is on another level of decision making. This is another level of spiritual integration. So this is out of your control, because as Wayne Dyer says, I was listening to Wayne Dyer recently, and it's really funny because he says, you know, life is so simple. You don't come here to do life. You're already done. By the time you are come through the birth canal, when you're conceived, when you are born, when you are growing for 9 months, you're being done. You're already done. Everything's set. And you come here to experience life and to live it, not to, I was going to say something really strong there, you don't come here to suffer it. You don't come here to just endure it and to just survive. That is not what this is about at all. And it turns into that for a lot of people, and we go through things and it becomes about surviving, because we forget about that fact that we're already done. Forget about the fact that it is done, and it's been done 100 gazillion times before us. So the decision of going with what's in here, what's inside, what's guiding you inside, even though it might be difficult, because you might feel that you have to leave people behind, that you're cutting people out of your life. Can it be that easy to just abandon people? Who are you abandoning? Yourself, or, you know, somebody who's just not good for you? And it's difficult because it brings up then feelings or ideas or false beliefs of loneliness. And loneliness, it's a real problem for a lot of people, and in the spiritual community. This is probably a video for another day, the topic of loneliness. What is spiritual loneliness? Because you are actually not alone. But we cannot, these are fears of our human selves. We cannot let these things hold us back, because you cannot stay in the past. The past is gone. It doesn't matter anymore. The past of what happened this year back in March and April is not important. What was important at the time was how you decided to go through it, and where you've come out at the end, what decision you've made, and what are you living now as a consequence. So all I really want to say at this moment in time is that coming to September the 14th, it's important to choose, and to choose again, and to make the right decision that is for you and not for what someone else wants for you. So with that in mind, I am going to shuffle the deck. These are wisdom cards from Diana Cooper. Diana Cooper was a big part of my awakening, or my leveling up, should I say, years ago. Probably back, actually, when I think about it now, in 2011 was when I first discovered Diana Cooper. And I discovered her about a year before there was that massive, there was in 2012, December the 21st. It was meant to be doomsday, that the end of the world was coming, but actually what it really was this massive portal opening, and it was a huge celebration in relation to ascension, the ascension process and awakening. Even though, like, it's funny because a lot of people in the world were preparing for the end of the world, and I remember taking the day off work, and Diana Cooper was hosting a 2012 special recording, and I think at the time, I don't know, did I pay like €9 or something to join this celebration she was doing on the 21st, and it was beautiful. It was really fantastic, and I did it with a friend of mine. So that was all part of me beginning to learn about ascension. Up until then, I had no idea about ascension. So here's to Diana Cooper and her words of wisdom. And for the end of this video, it's nearly coming up to half an hour, so I hope that's okay. I don't normally do videos this long. But I am asking these words of wisdom cards now to give us the highest vibrational message for all people that will watch this video, that are watching it now and watch it in the future, to receive the best and highest vibrational message for their highest and greatest good from these wisdom cards in relation to what I have just spoken about. That's it. Split the deck. There we go. Tap the cards. Take the top one off. Oh, goals. So when you have decided on your goal, clearly picture the outcome in as much detail as possible. Talk about it and feel as if it is already happening. Then you will radiate such an aura of certainty and success that others will pick up your powerful energy and help you. Positive focused thoughts combined with conviction and passion are an unstoppable force. Success is assured. However, wisdom guides you to enjoy the journey, as this is where your opportunities for personal growth lie. So the affirmation on the end of this is, I enjoy the journey to my goal. And note that it's one goal. It's not a whole host of goals. So if you have a bucket list, like, pick off one off of your bucket list and start putting energy into it, and start feeling it, and start seeing it, and start believing in it, and see it as being your next item to tick off. If it's a work related goal, don't overcomplicate it. Just pick one goal. So this is kind of similar into part of September's momentum of energies now, that everything is going to start driving forward and moving forward. And it is true because schools are back, the colleges, universities are back, so we're getting back into more momentum with normal maybe routines and things. And this is when we start to want to do things, or maybe we want to go back as adult learners back to college, or we want to do evening classes, or we want to take up a new hobby, whatever it is. So whatever it is that your goal is for September, it is saying set a goal. What is it that you would like to see happening, manifesting in your life? And I think going by this, like, sooner rather than later. It doesn't have to be the ultimate goal of where you want to see yourself manifesting and in abundance, you know, everything in your life, because this is all about living each day by day, positive focused thoughts, and just enjoying the process of getting to your goal. So what does it take on a daily basis to try and achieve this goal? If it is your ultimate dream house, that's a big goal. Like, to me, that's an overwhelming goal. Like, you can start putting together the images in your head of what your dream house is going to look like, or what you want your dream house to be. You know, down to the detail of what you want to have in it, the colours that you'll paint on the wall, the type of wallpapers. Like, that's how far I can go if I'm thinking about my dream house. But then there are days that I think that's a pretty lofty goal. It's huge to me, because I'm thinking about every day that it's going to take to get to that goal, because to a certain extent part of that is out of my control. But what this is saying is reassuring that on each and every day you have a choice and you have a decision to make. And I do want to tie that in with the importance and the relevance of making a decision, making a very clear decision on a daily basis. So what is it that we all need to do now to move forward, to look ahead, not going back to the past, because it's very important that we're not going back to the past. Whatever dreams, goals, attributes, anything that you thought that maybe you think you're far away from it now. Maybe you had goals and dreams around a job that you had, in a job that you maybe thought you really liked 6 months ago, and now maybe you're not so happy in that situation and you're considering walking away from the job, but it's difficult, right, to make that choice. It can be quite easy to actually go, no, actually, do you know what? This job is not for me anymore. That's an old timeline. That is the old timeline. That is the old 3D. That is the past. So 6 months ago in the past, it was good for you then, but it's not good for you anymore. The co-workers that you're working with, the situations, the work you're doing, it's in the past. So any dreams of your goal house that you had attached to what you thought was a really good opportunity 6 months ago or 9 months ago or this time last year that you're seeing now actually hasn't worked out in the way that you want it to be, and now you feel, well, I'm the furthest away now from my goal than I've ever been. This is not true. This situation is working for you to bring you to your goal closer than maybe you've ever actually been, even though it may seem furthest away. But the power of focusing just for today, what is the important, most relevant decision that is in alignment and integrity for you to make today in order to move forward. And you've no idea when you do move forward how much easier or closer you're going to be to where you want to be. So I hope that makes sense. Kind of put a lot together there, and I'm not used to talking so much, but I do know that my voice is like different, and it's energetically, it's pumping through. So I know when I'm talking like that what I'm saying needs to be heard, needs to be said, and needs to be heard. And I hope that it's been heard and said gently, and that my words fall gently on your ears, because that is my intention of speaking. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for finding me, because you're on the path. And yeah, here's to more momentum for September. So thank you.